Hey everyone, so today is Easter Sunday and I'm down, up in the country spending some time with my family and thought I'd take some time out of my day to finally film a little January through March notebook update for you all. I know that I've been saying I'll do this for ages, but I just keep putting it off. I'm not really that confident talking to the camera, so um, if I say a lot or make lots of pauses, just don't mind me. I'm sure I'll get better at it. But this is the first book I wanted to show you. It's actually two books, but in this lovely little Moterm cover, A6 Moterm cover that my best friend got me for Christmas very generously. It has inside my main sort of freeze-form journal where I do some commonplacing and some extended writing about what I've been up to, sticking photos, that sort of thing. And then I've also got my media log where I have a reading tracker and a hobby tracker and lists of all the media that I've consumed through the year. So I'll start by showing you the inside cover. The Moterm cover has quite a lot of different pockets, which I find really useful for carrying around some of the stationery that I use most often in my journals, although I do also have a Delphonics pouch to carry a bunch of stuff in. I've got some little paper clips on here, which I don't actually use that much, but figure may as well have them on hand. I might need them sometime. And I've got some stickers from a local business called 1521 Studio. They're just based in the upper northern suburbs of my city in Melbourne, Australia. And they make a bunch of functional stickers and also some decorative ones, but I mostly get their functional stuff. These ones I think I'll be using for rating media and stuff like that. And then I've got a little set of different colors of their dot stickers, and these ones I just use for indexing my entries. The paper that they're on is a washi paper, so they're nice and thin and don't bulk up my books too much. These are those. Then in this big pocket I have, again from 1521 Studio, these months of the year stickers, which I use as like a header for each month in my journal. I really like the script font that they have. Then this is a bit tricky to get out and even trickier to get back in again, but based on the little bingo cards that Megan made, or actually I might have done this before Megan made her one, but around the same time, I've got a little bucket list of some stuff that I'd like to do this year, to do with my hobbies. So this is no like productive or serious stuff, it's just fun stuff. So for example, I'd like to take an interstate holiday sometime. I'd really like to go up to Sydney in New South Wales, which is the other capital, the state capital of New South Wales and the other most populated city in Australia. I think Melbourne's the second most populated, and visit a friend up there who moved there to study medicine. I'd like to go camping with friends, like to make chocolate bark. And I've just got a whole bunch of other fun little things on there that at the start of the month I have a look and try and select a few things that I want to try that month. Now, this is tricky to get back in. I think I might have to trim it down or else it's gonna get destroyed pretty fast. Don't think anything's in there. Nah. On this side of the paper I have one of Megan's Bloomies, and it just says, I'm grateful for the solace I find in my notebook. Time spent reading, writing, organizing, and indexing is never a waste. There is comfort and familiarity to be found between these pages when I need it. And I think that's a very suitable quote for a commonplace journal book. Here I've got, you can see the dot stickers. I've set out a little key for myself. I've got pink for, or red for brain drain, yellow for memories, green for media journaling, blue for commonplace entries or copied text, and a grey for any journaling prompts that I fill out. This first spread is actually the last couple of days of 2024 because the week went across 2 years, if that makes sense. I just started on the Monday because I was a bit impatient to start my 2025 journals. And I sort of do my planning and stuff by week anyway, so it made sense to swap all my books at the same time. I've got a little bit of writing and a photo from New Year's Eve. And then this is where 2025 actually starts. Got one of Megan's little stickers here, one of those header stickers that I showed you. And the first entry that I did was one of the poems from The Hobbit that I was reading at the time, and just a little bit about some of the, I don't know what the word is, I haven't taken an English language class in about 7 years, or actually longer than that. It's like 9 years since I took a literature class. I did linguistics in year 11 and 12, but some of the features of the poem and how they are used in the Misty Mountains poem, and then I had a go at writing some of my own in a similar style. I've got a journal entry about a gig I went to up in Castlemaine, which is a groovy little, well, not so little town, about an hour and a half's drive north of Melbourne. They have quite a few bands go through. It's quite an artsy community up there. So I went to that. It was a lot of fun. Met a couple people. And I've got a post that I found on Tumblr or Instagram that I copied across, and I can't actually remember the original poster of this, but I've got it written down somewhere, so if I remember when I'm editing, I'll make sure to pop their name on the screen. I've got some little washi tapes that I was designing earlier this year, although I had actually done most, if not all, of the illustrations previously to this year, but I then put them together into washi tape, and I bought some washi paper that I could print it on and cut it out into strips. A tip for anyone wanting to print stickers on washi paper: they can be quite smudgy. The printer ink can be quite smudgy on them when you first print it out, so I recommend waiting longer than you think you need to before you touch them, at least a couple hours, or you're gonna get smudges all over them and ink on your fingers. I have a little bit about Minecraft. Some people in Gloomtomb have a little Minecraft server that we play on together, which I've been playing so much this year. And yeah, I just wrote a little bit about what I was up to on the server and stuck in a photo of my character. I have some more of those washi tapes. I decided to expand on this last one here and do more beetle designs. So I just have some drafts of those and some some reflection on what I think could be improved in the final versions. And then the rest of the page is a bit of media journaling. I've got some albums that I was listening to, and I've got a bit about The Witch, which I've been meaning to watch for literal years. I don't know why it took me so long, but I watched it in January and I loved it so much, and now I've got a bunch of really long analysis videos saved on YouTube about it to delve into. This one's a commonplace entry. Abel shared this short, I guess it's a short story piece or a little slice of life piece called The Bog, right, by Udall Huberman. And I've copied that out in its entirety. I'm really happy with these pages. I think they look super pretty. I've got some mail stuck in from Estelle with some cute stationery samples. A Lunar New Year party for Year of the Snake that I went to with some of my friends, and we made this little snake-shaped fruit salad, which was a lot of fun, and a screen cap from a music video that an artist called Hachiku, who I really like, released, and then a little bit that the artist said about the song. I'm not going to give any more context for that. I went into the city to get some new scissors because I was cutting out some stickers, and I held my scissors too hard and they snapped is basically what happened, so I needed to go get some new ones. Here I've got some plans of this video actually, which you can see how long I've been meaning to record it. I didn't actually finish this, I'm sort of just winging it because I decided that it would be easier if I just did it and didn't think too hard about it. So there's that mostly blank page and another mostly blank spread. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and fill these in. I'd kind of like to, because I don't really like having empty pages just in the middle, but we'll see. Here's a spread about a gig that I went to, a little illustration that I did while I was at the gig actually. I brought my notebook along. Now we're up to March. Got some little artwork, a clothes shopping haul. This was a really cute gig that I went to where we had the last song, everyone did like a sing-along and they handed out the lyrics to the song, and then I got to keep them, and it was really cute, very wholesome. Here's another drawing that I did during a gig. Actually the launch for that album that I stuck the music video screenshot in from. A little stationery haul. And then a sticker from a local record label that I volunteered at one of their shows on the merch table and selling raffle tickets. I don't think I have much in the back of here. Yeah, I've just got a little index which I have to go back and fill out by month and by topic, and then in the back of each of my books I've left a spread for reflecting on any hang-ups I have with my system throughout the year, so then when I choose my books for next year I can look at what I wanted to do differently. So that's that one. I'm going to pause the video before I move on to the next little book so I can give my voice a break. Alright, I'm back from having a little break and ready to show you the next part of my system, which is this teensy little media log. Also, I realised I forgot to tell you what books I'm using. These are both sterling ink, and as are the rest of the books in my system for this year. I just really went for it on sterling ink. So, opening up to the first page, I've got this beautiful big sticker. I believe this one's by Marigona Sully, whose work is absolutely gorgeous. I've got a little reading summary, which I just go back to at the end of each month, and based on my more detailed tracker, I fill it in as a little overview, so I can see over the year my general reading trend of how much time I spent reading. Here I've got a list of all the books that I own but haven't read yet as a little TBR list. I'm sure it's not quite all the books, it's just what I could fit, but it was pretty close, I think. Still a lot though. And then actually in the back, I've got one of Megan's Summoning Squares, and I've just put the covers of some of those books that I most want to read on, and I'm adding a sticker each time I finish one, and trying to get bingo sometime in the year. Going back into the book, I've got some hobby-based goals that I want to achieve this year or aim for this year. I'm not like too strict in my goals, especially for the fun stuff. I don't want to like stop it being fun, turn it into something that I have to do, but it's good to think about like what you'd like to do. So I've got some reading goals, stationery low spend. I want to watch some new films this year. I'm not very good at that. I tend to just rewatch stuff I've watched before. I'd like to attend an average of one live music event a week, which I'm doing pretty well on so far. I don't think I'm quite on track, but I'm pretty close. And I've got a screen time goal. Here's another view of my reading log. This one I write the exact amount of time I spent reading each day, and then I've also recorded days that I finish a book with a highlight and days I start a book with a little dot. I don't update this every day, I just go back maybe once a week to fill it in. On the little quarterly view, I break down my goals into little milestones, and I've also written down which books I finish each month and just my total time reading and my average per day. And this side I'm trying something that I've never actually tried before, which is a hobby log. So I guess the idea is that I want to make sure I'm actually doing the things that I enjoy doing and not just spending my free time scrolling or not wasting time, but I'd like to use it more intentionally. So I made this little tracker to just keep track of when I read, when I watch a new film, when I go roller skating, when I go to live music or listen to a new album or otherwise engage in that interest. If I play any sort of games, so that could be tabletop games or it could be video games, but I only count it if I'm gaming with someone else. Doesn't count if I'm just playing Minecraft by myself for hours on end. And the last one is create, so that's doing anything outside of work that's some sort of creative or artistic activity. So that could be coloring in, a personal illustration project, collage, anything like that. Then in my monthly spreads, this is my main reading log slash sticker chart. I did something very similar to this last year in my weeks, and it really motivated me to read a lot more. So I've carried it over to 2025. It's pretty simple. If I read any amount, I write the amount down in the corresponding day. If I read at least 20 minutes, I stick down a star sticker, and if I read 40 or more minutes, I stick down a special sticker, a fancy sticker, if you will. Like with the overview tracker, I highlight days that I finish a book and I put a dot when I start a book. And then over here in the first column, I've just got my weekly total reading and my daily average for each week. Then, final thing is in the back here, I've got a bunch of pages where I'm just listing all the media that I finished through the year. So I've got a list for books, movies, television, comics, audio narrative media. So by that I mean like podcasts, I guess. I'm not sure if I'd put audiobooks there or if I'd just put them in books. I'll see. I haven't actually thought that through. Audio visual narrative media, so that's like YouTube videos. Got reports or papers, narrative writing, so short stories, zines, basically anything that's not a book, but also not like a academic paper. Albums, as in music albums. Informational and instructional material, so like cookbooks and course material. Games and interactive material, live performances. And then, as with my other book, I have a spread for any system reflections. I already showed you this, but in the back pocket, I also keep these little note cards, which have a reading challenge that I'm doing over 2024 to 2025 to read a book starting with each letter of the alphabet. I'm getting to the point where I have to consciously start choosing books that are gonna help me finish this. And I keep whichever stickers I'm currently using in my reading tracker sticker chart. So I think these ones were from Daiso and they're super cute. And then got a nice little clasp on the Moterm cover. And that's it for that one. Moving on to what I use as my actual planner, I've got the Sterling Ink Common Planner in the A6 horizontal full year format. I've got this in, I believe, a Midori A6 clear cover, which is a bit of a stretch to fit on, but I found if I heat it up with a hairdryer, I could sort of stretch it around, and it hasn't been too much of a problem since. I do have a slight crack here, but I think that's more so from being rough with it and chucking it into the bottom of my bag than it is the cover not fitting. It does have a okay amount of room in there, I think. So opening up, I've got another one of Megan's Gloomy cards and a bit of Decca. This one says, "My executive dysfunction is not always on my side. I will hope for the best, but be kind to myself regardless of the outcome. My productivity does not define my worth." Which is my philosophy for this book, really. I want to use it for trying to make the most of my year and of my life, but it's also not supposed to shame me either. I'm actually going to start by flicking to the back and showing you the stickers that I've got in the back, which are the same ones that I use for my journal. And I've got a little key for my notes pages, which includes task lists if I want a detailed daily schedule, call and meeting notes, reference information, and ideas that I want to revisit. In the front here, in the, I guess, yearly calendar overview, I set up a calendar of the solstices and equinoxes and full moons. To be honest, I don't really reference this. I have the same information in my Google Calendar and I look at that pretty much every day, so I don't really have reason to look at this. I think maybe next year I'll just stick something else over the top or leave it blank. You don't have to use every page in a book, is what I'm trying to drill into myself. I've got a spread here for a little a vision board for 2025. I've collaged a bunch of stuff I found on Pinterest and a bunch of Megan's stickers with the vibes I want to set for the year. And then I've got a more specific breakdown of some of the goals I want to achieve this year in the like productivity sense rather than in the hobby sense. I've got a calendar of birthdays and celebrations and public holidays. Again, I don't reference this that much because I've got the same information in my Google Calendar. On the quarterly view, I break down those goals that I showed you into a quarterly and a monthly milestone. And then on this side, I have a income and spending log, which I'm not going to show you because that's kind of personal. Flicking to the monthly sections, I used the December of last year as a countdown to when I got to move into my 2025 books, and I used to use up some stickers, and I think it's really cute, kind of pointless, but it was fun to do. And then for the rest of the year, I've been using the calendar sections as a log of the time that I spend on work, business, and volunteering tasks. I keep all my events on Google Calendar, so there isn't really a reason for me to write down my events in a calendar view like this. So I decided I could use it for something else. I'm going to pause this video for a second so I can let my dog in the door. He's scratching. Okay, dog has been patted and we can go back to the video. Where am I at? Monthly spreads. Okay, so I've marked out a weekly spread here that I wanted to show you. This is mid-February, week 8. I just chose this one because there wasn't too much that I needed to cover up, and also I thought it looked cute. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this layout. It's just the regular horizontal layout of Sterling ink. It's pretty similar to the Hobonichi Weeks and a lot of other planners, but basically it's got a calendar on one side and just plain notes on the other. I divide the calendar into two sections. On the left-hand side, I list out any timed events I have, and on the right-hand side, I list any all-day events like birthdays, and I note down any reoccurring tasks that I want to get done on that day. And for some of those, I have these little icon stickers. I'm planning to get those stickers for all of the tasks eventually, but they're a little bit pricey, so I'm just collecting them over time. And those, again, are from 1521 Studio, where I get my dot stickers. On the right-hand side, I make a weekly task list, and this is divided into 7 sections, which are earn money, so that's work-related stuff, skill and network building, caring for myself, caring for my space and stuff, general staying organized, social stuff, connecting with others, and my hobbies. And I do a similar thing for my monthly tasks. Let me find the right page here. Here we go. February monthly tasks. So I divide it up into the same categories, but I've got 2 pages for each category. So I have more space for more tasks for the whole month. And then along the right-hand side here, at the end of the month, I just go in and evaluate how well or how successful I think I was in that particular area of my life, whether I think I made really good progress, made okay progress, sort of stagnated, or didn't do quite as well as I'd hoped I would. And that just helps me keep on track of making sure I'm balancing different stuff in my life. And then after that section, I've got a big notes section. And this I use for the things that you saw in my key, so stuff like shopping lists, dinner ideas, more shopping lists. It's mostly shopping lists, to be honest. I actually think I'm going to do something a bit different next year, and for shopping lists, I'm going to write them down on little note cards, just because I find it a bit bulky to bring my whole thick 4-year book to the supermarket with me. It'll just be easier to have something small that I can chuck in my bag, and also not worry too much about just damaging my planner by bringing it out and about with me. That's it for that one. I've still got my health log and my 5-year journal left to show you, so I'll make a cut and show you those in a second. This little book here is the same one that I use for my hobby log, but this one I use for health tracking and notes to do with health and fitness. So opening up to the yearly overview, I use this one as a dental hygiene tracker. I just use my Mildliners to mark whether I didn't care for my teeth, used mouthwash, brushed my teeth, or brushed and flossed. I'm not that great with toothbrushing, so it's good to keep myself accountable with a chart like this. I have a timeline of the changes that I'm experiencing on low dose tea, which I started in January, which is really exciting. I'm definitely experiencing some changes, like more hair on my body. I've got a breakdown of my health and fitness goals, and in the quarterly sections, I break those down further into quarterly and monthly milestones. I also, in this section, had a bit of a symptom tracker, but I found I don't really update that often, and if I do want to track that, I think I'm better off doing it digitally, so I can easily go in throughout the day as I experience things and note them down. It's often a bit hard to remember looking back on a whole day. In the Calendex, I use this as a mood tracker, and I also note down I guess like mental health symptoms. So if I felt particularly anxious that day or if I cried that day, it's been a really good year that I haven't got many marked as that. In the monthly sections, I use this for fitness, for sleep, and for healthy eating. So I note down, I've got a smartwatch, the Google Pixel Watch, and this tracks my physical activity, and then each day, and it tracks my sleep, and each day I copy some of that information into this book so I can have a overview of the whole month at once. I write down how many minutes I spent in my exercise zones, so I think they count that if your heart rate is at or above what it would be at a brisk walk. So sometimes when I'm walking my dog, he likes to take his time and sniff around, so often only part of that actually counts as exercise according to my watch. But I also write down if I do a walk or another type of workout like roller skating or lifting weights. I note down my sleep time and my sleep score, and I do a little tick if I met my goal for servings of veggies per day. And then along this edge, similar as I do with my reading tracker, I've got a summary of totals and averages for the week. These icon stickers are actually from a different place to my other ones, but I can't remember the name of the store right now, so again, I'll put it on screen while I'm editing if I remember to do so. In the back here, I only have one note so far, but this section is going to be for health and fitness related notes. So here I've written down the different exercises that I do when I'm doing workouts. And this is my key system, so that would be reference info, but I'm also hoping to use the book for test results, notes from appointments, symptom notes, and treatment notes on different health stuff that I've got going on. That one's pretty quick and easy to update. And I wonder if next year I might even incorporate it into the same book as my planner, as I feel like I'm never going to use all the note sections in either of them, so it might be a bit more space efficient and money efficient if I just do it all in one. My last book is this beautiful 5-year diary, and this is the only book that I've got in a size other than A6. This one's actually B6. I don't have much in this yet since I only started it this year, but basically in the monthly overview, I write down some of the significant things that happen each month. Each daily page has some highlights and lowlights, and then a news headline from the day. And then at the end of each month, I have a summary of some of the stats that I take from my other books. So some health stats, hobby stats like how long I spent reading, and productivity stats. And that's all stuff that I keep track of in my other books, but I'd like to have a sort of high-level summary that I can keep over the years and compare the years. In the back, there's a whole bunch of notes pages. And so, again, don't have much in these yet, but the main thing I have is each quarter I'm doing a reflection on each of those areas of life that I sort my tasks into. And I also have a little photo dump for each month. As time goes by, I'm hoping to have a lot more in this notebook. I've got space for playlists, I've got space for a lot of different places I travel to, yearly summaries, all sorts of stuff, but as we're only a few months into my first year of using it, I don't have that much in it yet. But I'm hoping that this will turn out to be a really beautiful archive of 2025 through 2029 that I can keep all pretty on my shelf, and it'll be very precious. And that's it really. I do use other stuff for planning. As I said, I use Google Calendar, but as for my analog system, it's those 4/5, if you count this as 2, Sterling ink books. And I'm really happy with what I chose for this year. I'm keeping up with it. I don't have many qualms with it, and I'm having fun. So I reckon as long as that keeps happening, I'll use something very, very similar for 2026. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video. I know it was quite rambly, but I know also that a lot of you were interested in seeing how I use my books. So yeah, let me know if you liked it, let me know if you have any questions, and maybe in my April through June update I can answer some of those, so I'm not just making up what I ramble about to the camera. Yeah, hope you guys all have a nice Easter break if you celebrate that, a good weekend if you don't, and see you another time.